Okay. All right, get ready. If I had to watch a movie 100 times in a row, I would obviously choose The Dark Knight over Batman Begins. But as a one-shot movie, the best is Batman Begins. And the whole point of the movie is how a man can become more than a man and he can become an idea. And that movie becomes more than a movie, it becomes an idea. Specifically, Batman Begins is the best of the trilogy in the way that Star Wars A New Hope is the best Star Wars by far. Even though if I had to watch one, I would choose Revenge of the Sith because that's to me like the coolest. I think Dark Knight is cool, but Dark Knight is a action movie. It's a movie of the body that presents superficial philosophy. I think Batman Begins, the actual action is, I don't really like care too much for it. I don't care too much for the car chase. I think the fight scenes are eh. I think the ending against Qui-Gon Jinn is pretty eh. Like, I don't even think that's a great choreographed fight. Like the final boss, and they just kind of duke it out on a train really quick and then he pieces out. Like, that's not a huge, crazy thing. But it's the fact that it's about that idea of fear. And Star Wars A New Hope talks about the Force. Every other Star Wars movie is a movie about lightsabers. Number 4, A New Hope is a movie, it's a religious Western. And he's trying to teach Luke to use the Force. It's a spirituality movie. Batman Begins isn't about batarangs. It's not about fighting. It's not about the Batmobile. None of that. It's about fear and how he can absorb fear and use that in his life, how he can become an idea. It is truly depth, and it is a movie about spirituality. Maybe you can even argue it's a movie about God. I would say for that reason alone, as a one-off, I have to put it above Dark Knight. If I had to watch 100 times, I would choose Dark Knight. But if I was going to watch a movie 100 times, I would choose Batman vs. Superman.
Wow.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
As Greg would say, and that's the opening to the podcast.
Exactly. Spin that shit.
Yeah.
They don't chase clout, they just chase the lore. Dig scenes that the mainstream ignores, where light fights dark in a fabled war. Yeah, the truth gets told when the movie's born. I'm the break in the flicker, the cut in the edit, the blade through the credits, a frame they embedded. Light in the distance, persistence poetic. The dark is a prison, I brighten with aesthetic. No stunt doubles, I tumble through trap fights. The scripts in my soul, I control when my track spikes. Whisper in a reel, I reveal with the black light. The dark is a canvas that I carve with the flashlight. Call it a war cry, a cinematic spark, a puzzle in the shadows, a code of the art. It's Andrew and Greg and the legacy embarks. Our voices ignite and we light up the dark.
Official pick with special guest.
Say his name.
Yeah. This week on the podcast, Smüth, who recorded our theme song, is a guest on Batman Begins.
Smüth is in the house.
Our first guest.
Yeah. Shout out Katie Holmes.
The real Rachel.
The real Rachel.
All right.
No, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Yeah, man, this is blast.
Yeah.
And he did the pick today.
Yeah, this is Smooth's pick. I'll say the way this came about, but first, while we're on the recording, I want to say thank you to Smüth for our theme song.
No, it's my pleasure, brother.
Killer one. Killer.
Yeah, amazing theme song. And whenever I edit the podcast, I have to listen to the theme song like over and over and over again. I never get tired of it. It's fun every single time. I love our theme song. I think it's the greatest podcast theme song ever created.
Man.
Thanks to you.
Yes, sir. Anytime. See you next year. Funny theme song. You can cut this if you need, but funny theme song thing, Greg, is I'm like, I got 1 week left with the studio and then it's about to close. And Andrew's like, hey, like maybe we can knock it out. And I was like, yeah, cool, sick, let's do it. And so, dude, he sends me the text and I'm like glossing over it, but at this time I'm sleeping in the studio. Swear to God, sleeping in the studio, bro. And just finishing this project. And then So I take it, I write the lyrics, whatever, and then I knock out like 10 verses, and then I'm just cutting which ones might sound best. I go to Philly to meet my uncle for the Phillies game like the next day. I send it to Andrew, and then he's like, he does like, Andrew's not going to come and just be like a dick. He's going to like, all right, like he's going to start with the compliment, right? He's read some business books. He's going to be like, so he came in and he's like, hey, dude, really love it. Like captures the tone, so sick, can't stop listening. There's only one problem. He said, and if I remember, I think the first verse was like, they don't chase clout, they just chase the lore. Dig scenes that the mainstream ignore. When the fabled war, the truth gets told by Andrew and George. And then he says, he goes, this guy's name is not George, it's Greg. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, dude. How was I gonna reset up? Everything is Orge. And then I was like, oh my God. And I looked at the text and it's like Greg. And I was like, dude, I'm such an idiot.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's what we do here. We light up the dark, I had a Andrew was keeping that under the bed, but yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth behind the version 1 of the theme song. Yeah.
The V1. Oh, do you still have that?
Probably, yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, dude,
I'm sure.
I gotta hear that. We gotta play that one on like April Fools or something. we throw that track in there. George.
Oh yeah, I just remember thinking like all the lyrics were incredible, and it was like exactly the type of thing that I never even thought it could exist. Like not in my wildest imagination, but it was so on point on the subject. You had all these movie words, and it was like painting this visual portrait. And then it gets to the end, and that last beat said Andrew and George, and I was like, oh no! I'm like, it's like 99% perfect, just that. We just need to change that one line. But that one line was the whole rhyme scheme.
To the whole thing. Yeah. What is your process? So do you start with the lyrics, or do you start with the beat? What's your process?
I think for that one, I started with the beat. I think it was really blent, like it all bled together with this project I was finishing. And like at that point, I think it was like almost 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and I'm like falling asleep, and that's the perfect time to create because you're not censoring yourself.
Right.
And I think I just started with the beat, and I found that like, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then just kind of went with it. Yeah, and it felt good. And that was all I could do. I'm like, I don't know if this will work for you, but this feels good for me. I can share this with you. Hopefully it works for you.
Oh yeah. By the time I got to hear it,
awesome.
I had 0 notes. I was like, dude, this is fucking amazing. I think Andrew was like, I have maybe one more note. And I was like, you're gonna kill this kid. I was like, dude, stop with your notes.
Yeah, because then once we needed to make that revision, it kind of opened it up to like, okay, let's maybe add a few extra lines in there. And then we started doing a little more, and yeah, it started evolving, and it like hit this point of like, okay, we got it even better by the last draft.
Yeah, and you ended up giving like a shorter version and a long one, and we were like, wow, the short one's good too, but it's like the long one's where it's fucking at. It was great.
Oh, I couldn't do the shorter version. I'm like, the long one's so good, I want the whole thing in there. So I decided to go for it and let the podcast have like a long intro theme.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, because it's too good. You can't cut it.
I'm glad I contributed because like selfishly, like your ego wants to be coddled. My ego wants to be coddled. So of course I'm like, I'm gonna listen to the first episode. I gotta hear myself. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh wait, okay, cool. This is actually pretty cool. And then I just kept listening, and I think I was cooking or something. I was like, oh shit, I'm actually digging this. And then I just got hooked on the actual pod. Like I'm genuine fan of the podcast. So
dude, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all keep doing your thing for sure.
Oh man, thank you so much. So yeah, this one came about because Smüth is also an actor in my short film. As the film got into a few film festivals and we went around, I invited Smüth to some of the screenings. He came to the premiere. And we were at another film festival called New York Cinefest. and we had just started the podcast, Greg. You and I had just started the podcast. And I was at the Cinefest with Smüth, and I said, yeah, we just started the podcast and we had just recorded Jaws. And I said, I had like a kind of cool take on Jaws because I was really happy after we had just recorded that episode. And then Smüth said, oh, okay, I see how this is. Like, you're going to try to bring like a kind of interesting take to each episode. And he goes, I have a take on a movie. And I said, what's that? And he goes, Batman Begins is better than The Dark Knight. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Ever since he said that. And then we didn't go into it. We didn't really elaborate. We didn't like go deep, We didn't have 2 hours to talk. So ever since you said that, Smüth, I've been very curious to hear your thoughts on Batman Begins.
We saw Weapons together in theaters, and in my head I'm like, oh yeah, I got that movie inside now. And then you guys just started talking and I was like, holy cow, they see so much. So I'm curious on what you guys think on Batman Begins too.
All right. Well, as Greg says, yeah. Well, there's no shortage of conversation topic. I just watched the movie, and I feel like I have so much to say. I need to make sure I let you guys talk because I just watched the movie. I had a certain experience at the beginning of it, and then as the movie went, my experience kind of shifted. And by the end, I felt like I have so much to say.
Please.
Greg?
Go for it.
Anything?
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched it, and I watched it over 2 nights. So my first night, I was enjoying it. I mean, I've always liked the movie. This goes back to 2005. This is close to when Greg and I were in film school still. So this one goes back a ways. And, I'm a huge superhero fan. I love the genre. We talked about how Superman is my favorite character on a lot of the episodes. And so, yeah, this is right in my wheelhouse. So, I mean, when this movie came out, I was super excited. I've always loved the movie. But I haven't seen it in a number of years. So it was great. I was really excited to revisit it. I think superhero movies have changed a lot over the years. And so this one, I was really curious. I was curious to see how am I going to feel now while watching it. The first night I turned it on, I was enjoying it, as I always do. But there was a part of me that kind of felt like it's a little bit goofy. It has a little bit of there's a silliness because Nolan's tone is very serious. And I think that's one of the things he did was he took this type of movie and he kind of elevated it and he gave it his level of seriousness. But when you do that with a character like Batman, I think it's almost like he's fighting the material. And so I kind of felt that sort of push-pull at the beginning when I was watching it, going through, the Ra's al Ghul parts and, that kind of the flashbacks. And I was kind of like, I don't know. Is this movie 100% working? I mean, in general, it's working. In general, you have all of this amazing stuff in there that we'll, of course, get into, like the cast and everything, and the way it's directed. But I was wondering at the beginning, is this movie really working? And then I'll tell you this, I turned it on today to finish it, and I was right at the point where Bruce gets on the airplane with Alfred to go home, back to Gotham for the first time, and that's where I queued it up today.
Oh, it's a good turning point. That's a good turning point to have it shut off at, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I basically watched the first act, and then I picked it up from the second act today. And I'll tell you, you get into that second act, you go back to Gotham, Lucius Fox is introduced, the Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane introduced. So you have all of these new characters. Rachel comes into it much more. So you have all these characters coming in. And of course, then he starts becoming Batman. And by that point, I was getting really into it. And I'll tell you this, by the end, I mean, this movie just has this edge of your seat roller coaster ride quality. By the end of the movie, we went through the whole, car chase, the Batmobile chase, and then you have the whole, water in the mains exploding. By the end of this movie, I'll tell you guys, I loved the movie. I actually couldn't believe it. It was the best experience I've ever had watching this movie.
Nice.
I felt like everything came together. And we'll get into it, but every single element just came together. And I came away saying, wow, I'm just blown away. I mean, I feel like I see it and I get it. It's like Christopher Nolan, he reinvented superhero movies. He created the entire generation of superhero movies that we've had because he elevated it. And his influence is just so strong on Hollywood from this movie. I think this movie is a very underrated movie. I came away feeling that this movie is unbelievably underrated. And the thing that really got me that I really want to delve into, and I'm really eager to hear your guys' thoughts, but it was the psychology aspect, that I felt like that this movie's so much about Bruce Wayne's psyche and he's trying to heal.
That part.
Yes. And as I was going through the movie, experiencing this story through him, through this character, I felt like I was on his inner journey. And by the time I got to the end, I felt like it wrapped up and it like healed so beautifully. I felt like by the time we got to the end of this movie, Bruce Wayne has reconciled with his parents' death and he is on to the next chapter. And I felt that so strongly. And I was absolutely blown away. And I loved the movie more than I've ever loved it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Welcome.
Welcome to Light Up the Dark.
Greg, what are your initial impressions?
Yeah, I had one of my better viewings of it too. I haven't I do normally whenever I watch one, I go for Dark Knight. And I hadn't watched this one in maybe over 10 years. I'd watched it a decent amount when it first came out, saw it in theaters, had a DVD, and then I like had my time with it. And I think when the sequel started coming out, I was like, okay, I'm not really going to look back upon this one as much. So I actually really liked going back and viewing it. I kind of had that same thing. I was a little bit at the opening, and I remember my theater experience of this movie. And I tried to put myself back in that mindset of being like, all right, this is 2005. This is now 20 years ago. And superhero movies weren't what they are now. It was like, Spider-Man had come out, but what's Iron Man hadn't even come out. That wasn't until like another 3 years after this or so.
That's right.
So this was like an interesting turning point, especially when it came to Batman, because the 90s went so goofy with Batman. I know Andrew has his own take on those films. I'm excited to watch those at one point with Mr. Freeze and all of that. But I remember being in the theater going like, this is goofy as hell with those films. And this was something that I looked up here to see, because I was like, this is very much just reminding me of the origin story of Superman the movie. And I looked it up to see if Donner was ever mentioned by Nolan. And apparently Nolan, when he pitched it, he had pitched that he wanted, to do what Donner had done for Superman and, ground this thing in reality, make it epic, tell this big origin story, which no one had really gone back to like the Batman origin story, that much. You had the 1989 flashback to Little Bruce. But that was an interesting thing to see that he took it that well. Like, you very much knew in the theater that this movie was taking this seriously. They have all those scenes of like, oh, well, let's explain everything. Let's explain all the gadgets. Let's explain this memory fabric, and all this stuff. So I really liked that aspect of it when he was, taking the time to basically go, this is the world that you're in. Here is the reason that this is a man, and he has all of this, gadgets and tools, and he's had all of this training for 7 years. And I like that aspect because it does ground you in that reality.
It's funny that you mentioned Batman being a goofy character, because my intro to Batman was Batman Begins. Like, I remember being a kid, and I think the game came out on PS2, and it came with like a free movie ticket. So we could go to the movies and then watch that. And then obviously Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. So I've only had that like gritty Batman experience. I never got to see that like goofy, silly, Mr. Freeze and everything.
You're not missing much. Andrew might beg to differ, though. I think he does have an affinity for those.
Well, I love the first Schumacher movie, Batman Forever. By the time we get to Batman and Robin, it starts to get a little bit, wacky. But Batman Forever, I mean, you got Jim Carrey as the Riddler. He's incredible. That movie, I think it's completely different than the other Batman movies. You have the Burton Batman, now you have the Nolan Batman, and then that Schumacher Batman. And so that first one to me fits into its own category. And, you know, when that movie came out, I was a teenager. So that hit me at the right time. So it has all the nostalgia for me. So, yeah, I do love that style of Batman. I like a little bit of a lighter tone.
Really brings it back to the 60s TV series.
Yeah, and I used to love that 60s TV series when I was a
Pow,
kid.
wham.
Yeah. I think I've loved every iteration of Batman, though. I mean, I loved the Burton one as well. I used to watch
Oh,
that
yeah.
movie over and over and over.
I was obsessed with that. The
yeah.
89 one and Batman what was it? Batman what's the sequel called again?
Batman Returns.
Yeah, Returns. That was with the penguins. Oh.
That's right. Yeah, so the Burton one I loved, and then Batman Forever I loved. And, you know, when Batman and Robin happened, kind of went off the rails. And Batman and Robin was bad enough, it killed Batman for a decade. You know,
Yeah.
and the superhero movies started coming up in the early 2000s. You had Spider-Man, you had Bryan Singer's X-Men, and it started bringing it back.
Yeah, X-Men, that's right.
Hey, so I was running like early, like an hour early to a work appointment, and I ended up going to the library, and I'm just sitting there, and I found a random book, and the book was called Why We Love the Matrix, and it's like one of those pop books about how cool the Matrix is, which please put that on your list. That is my only request. Please put that on your list. Greatest movie of all time. But it said that Warner Brothers, the failure from Batman and Robin was so bad that caused them to take a gamble on the Matrix because they wanted to take a hard pivot into like serious style movies.
Yeah. Do we have that on the list, Andrew? We have that, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that movie, too. I don't know if I'd say greatest movie of all time.
Of all time, but yeah, you know, it's cool.
All right.
It's cool. It's cool. Whatever.
We gotta hype that episode. We gotta hype it up.
Yeah, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Hollywood was in this place where the special effects were at a turning point. You know, you started having this next level of possibility with CGI, you know, with computer animation. And so you applied that to superhero movies that you could never do before.
You know, you just made me realize. Sorry, you just threw me off there. Made me realize though, like I mean, there's obviously like little models and stuff that they've done in this one and miniatures and this that, but nothing ever threw me off in any way. And this is 20 years ago. Not one effect threw me off and like out of the movie when watching this at all. And I was like, holy shit! You just made me realize that now. I didn't even question any of it. Like, sure, the bats are obviously CG, but it's like they're not distracting. They work. Everything throughout this whole thing never threw me out once on a, oh, that looks cheesy, or that's you know, done poorly, which is really well done.
Yeah, this one stays very grounded. And, you know, because it's Batman, it's street level, he's human, he's kind of just like gliding, you know, he's not doing anything too spectacular. So anyway, the point is that I was curious because I thought of that Smooth. I thought, you know, I bet that there's a whole generation of people, though, where this movie was their introduction to the character.
That's me. I didn't realize how like superhero genre it was until when I finished it this morning. I'm like, let me do a second run through. And I got like 10 minutes in before I kind of had to stop. But what was really interesting is the second time I started it today, I didn't even watch it. I just kind of listened to it. And I'm following the score, and all of the music is really symphonic. It's big, it's up, down, up, down, up, down every minute. It's like setting you up. The music is setting you up for those one-liners to like one up, one up, one up, one up, which is very superhero.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been my pick. Technically, this week is my pick. We go back and forth, and it wouldn't have been my pick. If I were to pick a Batman movie just right off the bat, it would be Batman Forever, just because it's one that I think is a little bit more underappreciated. But I'm so glad that you're here and that we did end up picking this one because, like I said, my experience was so good. And so, yeah, I'm so excited to actually talk about that.
Off your previous episodes, too, I feel like Batman Begins is in that same atmosphere as Casino Royale and what it did for like the Bond character. I feel like it's very similar.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why I said that Batman Begins was so influential, because it actually spawned this entire wave of movies. It gave Hollywood this new way of rebooting their classic characters. I think it was post 9/11. We didn't want as much goofiness, the audience at that time. And so Christopher Nolan came in and he did give it that more serious tone, and it felt more real and more grounded. It was this heightened character, but he made it grounded. And he also gave it this spin of, this is Batman Begins. This is essentially like a prequel. This is the story of how did this character become the character that you love. And so even in this movie, he's not really fully Batman until that last scene on the rooftop with Gordon, right? When he flips the Joker card. Then he's Batman. But it takes the whole movie to get to that point. And it's like, okay, now we have Batman. Because before that, he was still a scarred little boy. He was still somebody who, he was hurt over his parents' murder, and he hadn't gotten over that. And so that's not Batman, you know? And so Christopher Nolan created that mold. And so, yeah, the Bond team of filmmakers, they took that and they ran with that big time. And then, they kind of infused the Jason Bourne tone as well. And yeah, they created Casino Royale. And of course, the last line of Casino Royale, he says, "I'm Bond, James Bond." So he's not Bond until the end of the movie. So this movie's the same.
No. I was just say, yeah. Like you have the Hulk, that Shia LaBeouf Hulk, which was kind of like a gritty, like this guy that can't get a grip on this damn thing, like counting days on it. Then you have this Batman Begins. You have the James Bond. You have Iron Man, which was also gritty. He's like in the Middle East or wherever he is, trying to figure that out. And I think maybe they make him like a bit of an alcoholic or an addict or something. Like there is a lot in that early 2000, early mid late 2000s, which wouldn't be the whole 2000s. I'm caffeinated. Yeah, it is like a different superhero that, like, I think we're not getting right now. I feel like then it just kind of became pop, and now it's super poppy. So definitely that was an awesome era. And like Greg mentioned, there's really not one point where the CGI felt like weird or awful. Like the whole movie 20 years later, just like Casino Royale, looks great. Still looks great.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
To me, I actually think the movie, for me, the explosion is in the beginning. Like the first 30 minutes, I'll take that over the rest of the movie. I love it. And that to me is like the sickest part. And plus he goes like, they show his childhood to him in jail to, I think, League of Shadows. And by the time he gets to the top of the mountain, he's already talking to Qui-Gon Jinn. It's like 14 minutes into the movie. So yeah, like it moves quick, dude, but it feels like so
Yeah, the pacing of that is as if you're watching like a trailer. Like the entire sequence with him and the flashback of the girl is less than 1 minute long. That whole thing of them running around, it starts 45 seconds into it. After you get over all the Warner Brothers this that opening, you finally get to the running shot of the tree with them, and they're running. You see the little thing in her hand that she holds out, falls down, bats, whole thing. And you're just like, well, that was less than 1 minute. And it's just nonstop from there. Like the pace of it is exceedingly quick.
Yeah, the opening reminded me actually of The Fugitive, because Greg and we just did The Fugitive. And I was thinking about that during this movie because I thought, we talked about how The Fugitive has so many things going on and it uses flashbacks and it's like all in this opening credit sequence. And yeah, I was struck by that as well, of just how much is going on at the beginning of the movie. And that's why at the beginning I wasn't 100%, like I wasn't just pulled in immediately like, yes, I'm down with this, 100% right at the beginning. It was throwing so much at me and I kept wondering, is this the best way to start this movie? I keep wondering with this movie, if it had been done in more chronological order, would that be better? If you were kind of drawn through where Bruce is a child and you're kind of with him as a child more, and then he grows up and, but this, Nolan loves flashbacks. So, this movie uses this flashback structure. So we're jumping around so much at the beginning. And for me, it almost gives me like difficulty sort of latching on. But the League of Shadows part is cool. I mean, him climbing up the
Sick.
mountain. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it has its own unique style. Like that location and the tone of all of that is totally unique to the movie. And then we never go back to that for the rest. So
Right.
maybe that's why you feel that way, is because then for the rest of the movie, we're in Gotham City.
Yeah, it's like a dream sequence from Inception, like the way that everything looks there.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
This episode of Light Up the Dark is brought to you by Falcone Falafel. Falcone Falafel makes every wrap with the finest ingredients, always fresh, always delivered on time, sometimes even faster when they fall off a truck. The recipe has been trusted for generations, and every order is made with care. And remember, at Falcone Falafel, they don't just fill your stomach, they guarantee protection. That's right. Order a combo and let's just say nobody's gonna mess with your lunch break ever again. Sign up now for a limited time and use code Andrew and Greg at checkout for a free side of Hush Hush Hummus. Falcone Falafel, they don't just light up the dark, they own it.
Jonathan Boyega said in an interview that when you smack somebody, I think like when you punch somebody, you become their enemy, but when you smack somebody open-handed, you become their parent. And I think when Katie Holmes smacks Bruce Wayne, like, right? Because she does it because he pulls out the gun. Like, I was trying to kill this guy. And she smacks him and then she smacks him again. Like, how dare you? In that moment, it's like he has his parents again. Like somebody was disappointed in him. I don't think Alfred cared. Alfred's like, yo, do whatever you want, Master Bruce. And then he goes and he talks to Falcone, and that scene was so cool to me, of him being like, yo, you don't know anything about this. You've never experienced hunger. You've never experienced poverty. You don't know desperation. And he says, "Okay, bet." And he's like, you have to go 1,000 miles away before anyone doesn't know Bruce Wayne. So he goes to, where does he go, by the way? China?
Yeah, I think it's at least through China.
Yeah.
Because Hazel's Chinese, my wife. And so she actually made a flight. She was like, in order for Bruce Wayne to see the struggle of life, he just needs to go to China. And he's like, wow, life is hard.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. And then he's just sitting there desperate and he's hungry. He's starving, dude. So he steals because he's hungry. And he says, I lost that idea of right and wrong, of crime just being good or bad. Like I knew what it felt like to need to steal something.
Yeah.
I didn't love that he only stole from himself, from like Wayne Enterprises. I'm like, nah, come on, come on.
Yeah, because he says, I'm not a criminal. So it's like the implication is he's not actually going to cross the line to steal from other people.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah,
come
the movie
on.
gives you like, the movie
Come
always
on.
gives you that. It's like, like with the dad, how the dad's like the best dad of all time.
Okay, yeah, so while we're on that, how about your son has PTSD and you bring him to a play about bats?
Yeah.
They were all dressed up as bats. If you knew your kid was traumatized by bats and you brought that, nah, I'm sorry, dude. Martha had it coming.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say that.
When Hazel and I were watching it, she said, what is this exit? Like, it's on the side. It's in this alley. She's like, I've been to
alley.
operas. Yeah, it's like, why not walk through the lobby? Walk through the main entrance. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, they needed to have that, and I'm assuming that has to be in the comic book because it's also exactly the same in the 1989 Batman, where it's like the back alley is where the parents and him are.
But I think the play is different. Like I remember, I forget which universe it's in, but some of them he was going to see Zorro, and that was like the movie he was seeing. I think that's in the comic book. He was seeing Zorro, so it's like different, but. Yeah, it was like a play about bats. And the first shot of it is from behind the stage actor's head. And he has like the bat. It looks like the costume to be,
It's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I never knew that about Zorro, but I see that too. It's like, okay, the masked man, he's getting that. Now they're just making it much more even on point of like, okay, it's bats.
And Thomas Wayne, like, It was like, okay, he dropped the wallet. That's like a point of tension. And they're like, all right, cool. He gives the wallet and he's like, it's all good. And then the second he points the gun at the wife, like, bro, the guy was just gonna like take her pearls. But then he like jumps in front of the gun, like as if she can't handle being like, stared down for a second. And then I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. Did you have to,
Yeah.
Sudden quick movements was not a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they're trying to tug at the heartstrings, and this scene, it's meant to be hard to watch. I mean, this is like, it's a tough scene. It's like his parents are going to get killed here. And yeah, I mean, it changes his life, right? This is really the whole movie. Another key point that I wanted to talk about is the opening shot when he falls through the well.
When a child falls like 80 feet and literally should have broken every bone in his entire body when he lands on concrete.
Yeah. And then the bats come at his face. And this is a moment where it creates the fear of the bats. This is like the inciting incident of you're going to be marked by these bats now for the rest of your life. And then that comes back. It connects now to that opera, where everything looks like bats. And then the parents immediately get killed, and they get killed because the little boy got scared and he asked to leave. And so now for his entire life as an adult, he says, Alfred, it was my fault. I did this, right? So it's like now the guilt is on him. And, he has that scene with Alfred where the little boy cries and he says, it's my fault, Alfred. And Alfred has to comfort him.
I never thought of that. Like, why did he feel guilty? I thought it was stupid. That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he wanted to leave. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because and it ties into the themes beautifully because it was because he was afraid. So it was his own fear. And so he says, because I was so afraid, it caused my parents to be killed. So it's like this feeling of weakness. He feels like he's weak. So the whole movie becomes this journey toward gaining the strength. And there was actually a line I noticed when Ra's al Ghul was training him at the beginning during that opening that you love so much, Smüth. Ra's al Ghul says something like, you're afraid of your own power. Like, how powerful you could become, but you're afraid of that. You're afraid of yourself. And he has to do that journey for the whole movie to kind of embrace himself and let his power out. And he ends up becoming more powerful than his teacher, than his, I call it the Dark Father.
I loved I wouldn't even call it a shot, but I just love the sequence when he's doing the final test for the League of Shadows. And like, he has to like find Liam Neeson as like the soldiers are coming in and out.
Yeah.
I every time I think of Batman Begins, I think about that. But I told you I love the beginning more than I could watch the beginning 6 times in a row. It's so cool.
This is what I'm talking about how many good scenes there are and how many great moments there are. And it's like, yeah, exactly. That scene, which we didn't even mention yet, where he has to navigate through this small little army of ninjas. And it's like he has to prove himself. It's a great scene. It's just in there.
And that's when he's fucked up on the little thing he made him inhale too.
Right. They poison him. Yes.
Yeah. He's tripping balls, dude.
That's right. He has to navigate through his own fear.
And I love the coloring, like when they're fighting on the ice. So cool.
Yeah.
Because you see him use the arm, the whatever it's called, with the spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And he's just gaslighting them. He's like, it's not your fault your parents die. Okay, cool. And then he's like, it's your dad's fault. Like,
Yeah, he's being a real prick.
Yeah, dude.
Hazel says she loved how much Eastern influence there was,
Oh yeah, there's a magical element to things like that we fall for big time. Like, he can't just like go to Detroit and then like, oh, he's learned the mystical, magical ways of dust and all this other shit, and then come back.
And he learns how to freestyle. Then he has to go back to Gotham and spit.
Oh yeah. Hazel said it reminded her of Doctor Strange. You know, the way that Doctor Strange goes to the East and he essentially learns like Eastern mysticism.
How much do you think Ra's al Ghul weighs? Like 180,
He's tall.
maybe, right?
Yeah.
Probably at least 180 at least. So think about this, bro.
That one arm.
He bicep curled him with one arm.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was watching that. I was like, man, that's a hard lift, brother. That's a hard lift. That whole 180 with one arm, shoot.
Yeah.
Man.
I thought that was pretty cool. That was a good part. Yeah. During the opening, I was ragging on the movie a little bit. I was like, this movie's a little goofy. And then that part came. I was like, well, that was pretty cool, though. That shut me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. This movie just has so many great moments, too. You know, as you realize, like, as you go through, and that's the thing, as I got further into the movie, I became more invested. I loved it more and more. And I just realized just how many amazing moments there are. It's like every part of the film has like memorable things that are happening.
And that's something we haven't really talked about yet as well. I mean, the cast of this, it's just like everybody in there. You got Gary Oldman, Rutger Hauer, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, we mentioned. I mean, obviously Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Katie Holmes, is it Cillian or Cillian Murphy?
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian. Okay, Cillian Murphy. And just like it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's especially watching it now, like watching it at the time, you know, Cillian wasn't as huge as he is, you know, now or whatever, but just looking back at it, you just go like, oh my God, like everybody's in this.
And they nail their roles perfectly. Like nobody feels out of place.
No, it's perfectly cast.
This is something I wanted to mention with the connection to Donner, because you said it, Greg, and I was like, I feel very happy about that because, you know, my beloved Superman the movie and Richard Donner, Nolan loves the original Superman the movie, and that's why he made this movie the way he made it. That's why I called Superman the movie the Citizen Kane of superhero movies. You know, it's the first and it's the greatest, and it had this ripple effect on all these other movies. And Christopher Nolan, I remember at the time, he said, I wanted to assemble a cast that was as good as the Richard Donner Superman.
Wow.
That was his inspiration because he saw how Donner surrounded Christopher Reeve with all these heavyweight actors. You had Gene Hackman, you had Marlon Brando, you had Glenn Ford. And in this movie, you have Christian Bale, who was, you know, more of an unknown, slightly more unknown at the time. And then, you know, you got Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, you know, and these Liam Neeson. I mean, these absolute heavyweights around him.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Like, I'd known him well from like, you know, American Psycho, you know, I knew him from Empire of the Sun, you know, the Newsies, you know, or whatnot. But you're right. This was his first, like, hey, you're going to put on the bat suit. Like, this is going to be a next level where audiences won't forget you after this.
It's all about the tone because I talked about how it's a unique tone. It's a tone that never existed before. And the actors have a huge part in that. The actors dictate the tone to a great degree. And so he's casting actors that fit into his tone. And Christian Bale is the perfect Batman for this version. You know, he's a serious actor. You know, you really feel that. It's like he has this kind of darkness. You feel like he has a good heart. But he has this intensity. You feel that from him. And so when he's doing a part like this, it comes through. That's one of the things I thought as I was watching this movie is I thought, you know, Christian Bale is just absolutely perfect actor for this Batman at this time.
Yeah, he's great.
It's interesting to see that he's playing three roles like in the movie. He's playing, you know, the regular role of Bruce that he is like with Alfred or Morgan Freeman or whatever. Like there's that Bruce. Then there's Batman that he has to play. And then in, you know, at least 2, if not 3 scenes, he's having to play that flaky, drunk Bruce Wayne womanizer type person. So it is interesting at her at the end going like, this is the mask that you're wearing. But he is playing those 3 roles. And I don't know if he does that in any of the other sequels. I don't know if that's just this one where he has to play that other character up.
Yeah, like when he kicks everyone out of the party and he like acts like an asshole, even though like He could have just said, "I'm feeling sick. Can everyone go?" Like,
Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
defaulted back to the same scene where he did with the two women swimming in the little pool. He's like, "Oh, I got to
right.
be this guy to the rest of the world. They've got to see. They've really got to not think that I'm Batman."
Mm,
I think too, to your point, like Katie Holmes does bring that like cuteness that I think Maggie Gyllenhaal never really replicates. Like that relationship with Maggie and Bale never feels as warm. It
right.
just kind of feels like a little more professional, you know.
Yes, exactly. That's what I love so much about this version is the dynamic was different because Bale does have that like intensity, and then Katie Holmes is like the opposite. She feels just so soft. She's so caring and a different. I think Maggie Gyllenhaal has a little more of that city girl.
She's got strength like throughout her character. You don't feel like she's a damsel in distress.
Mm.
Right. And yeah, I mean, Katie Holmes, Dawson's Creek, like she has a girl next door quality. And so it's like this quality that just perfectly offsets all the pain that Bruce has been through, and there's so little like softness in his life, you know? And so I think it just feels so good when she's there and she brings that softness. It feels like it's exactly what he needs, and so that's why like the romance underneath it, I actually really loved that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I thought she was actually like the heart of the movie
Mm.
and a way more important character than perhaps people realize. She's like the humanity, and Bruce is almost like trying to lean more in her direction, like let me keep my humanity. She's the one who says like don't just kill people for revenge or whatever, you're gonna lose yourself. And so she really helps to keep him on track. Yeah, just her presence, I mean, in this movie that's like very film noir, it's very crime ridden, all these dark, dirty alleyways and nighttime
Right.
and then you have Katie Holmes and she has this like very warm, soft kind of girl next door quality. And I think it just plays perfectly into the rest of the Batman tone. And I think it's interesting because it is a difference between Batman Begins and Dark Knight. Because in Dark Knight, you have a different actress.
Mm.
Different actress creates a different chemistry. And the way that movie feels is different. The way this movie feels is completely unique. There's no other Batman movie that feels like this.
Yeah. I see that.
I wondered. I don't know if I ever 100% found out. I don't know if we know like why was Katie Holmes recast for Dark Knight?
Oh, I
Scheduling
looked it up.
conflict.
Yeah, she was doing a movie with Queen Latifah, and she decided to pick that film over this. And then there was
Mm.
weird rumors saying like it was around the time of Tom Cruise and he might not have wanted her to do it, but those are just rumors supposedly. She made this other movie which did not do well at all.
We can go back and watch Dark Knight, but as I recall, I'm not a fan of those kind of casting changes because I feel like it's just not the same character. It's
Right.
like the investment that you feel in their relationship to me when you see a different actress in the role, it's like my emotional carryover it's just not there. And
Right.
I find that hard. I wondered while watching this movie, I wondered, what's now we have AI. Maybe somebody can AI Katie Holmes into the Dark Knight. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, they would get her look, but I don't know about the performance though.
I wondered what it would be like to kill Katie Holmes
Oh,
in
that would
Dark
hurt.
Knight, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like even more.
Maggie
You're like
Gyllenhaal, it's
you're like
like,
that would hurt. It's like okay, whatever. It's Maggie. Who cares?
yeah, no, with her, I'm like, come on, man, like, all right. Yeah. And I think it would hurt to see, because, like, isn't it, again, haven't seen Dark Knight either in a little bit, but there's like a party on not a rooftop, but like the top of a hotel or something when the
Mm,
Yeah.
Joker invades. Like that whole thing, I think she was like with a boyfriend or something else at the time. Like
yeah.
that would feel like more more of a betrayal than Maggie Gyllenhaal. It's like, okay, go be, you know, you go do your thing. It doesn't hurt me. But like I forget her name, but the actress for MJ of the real Spider-Man, um, I think she carries like a more masculine edge, like with more strength in her physical features, but I never feel that like lack of warmth. It always feels like her and Toby have like a really nice, loving, genuine relationship that when she does go on to like the next guy, it hurts. You feel bad for Spider-Man, but in this case with Maggie Gyllenhaal, it's just like, okay,
Yeah. I think you're talking about Zendaya.
No, I'm
No.
talking about Toby.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
that.
I am talking about Zendaya. Yeah, I'm always talking about Zendaya.
You're talking about Kirsten Dunst.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I remember the scene on the rooftop in Dark Knight. That's a great example of what I'm talking about, where
That's the why so
they-
serious scene, right?
well, it's between Bruce and Rachel, and
But you're saying before Joker comes
yeah,
out.
I'm talking about the relationship with Rachel, and then they have this little heartfelt scene, and I remember during that scene in particular, I just felt like I'm not feeling it.
Right.
Chemistry is just different,
Yeah. I just loved Katie Holmes in the role so much. I mean, I was surprised at that. I didn't realize, like, I feel like she's kind of the hidden MVP of this movie, actually. Like secret MVP. That scene at the end, after the whole action finale, and it's, the ruins of Wayne Manor, and she touches his face and she says, this is your mask. I mean, that scene, I don't know. That scene kind of got me. I thought it was actually a great scene, and she played it beautifully. I thought. I was like, Katie Holmes is completely underrated in this movie. Like, she's performing the scene beautifully, and it's like she gives it the heart. And I kind of feel like you wouldn't even care about this Batman that much without her. It's like, and what I love so much too is that she represents the life that he had before his parents were killed.
Right, yeah.
She is like the last piece of his childhood.
Which she gives back to him, literally.
Ah, right.
Literally.
Bye-bye.
Finders keepers. Also, that finders keepers gift was so personal. If someone gave that back to me, I'd be pissed, dude. I'd be like, yo, did this mean nothing to you? Like, yeah, you can have the rock.
Yeah.
It's been like 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that do you know that there are two connections between this and Kubrick?
Nice.
Oh.
Nice.
Okay, I think I know one of them.
You're going to say the Wayne Manor.
Yes.
Think about number two. Think about the actor he gives the code to is Mr. Milich from from there as well. That the guy who, and also coincidentally in that, think about a coat, a jacket. That's what he has to give the cloak to Tom Cruise's character in Eyes Wide Shut, the cloak and the mask.
That's interesting.
So, and in this one, Bruce Wayne gives the coat to this Mr. Milich character, and you also have the Wayne Manor being the same as the Eyes Wide Shut house. So there's something interesting there.
Very interesting. Two Eyes Wide Shut connections.
Yes, not just Kubrick, right? Two Eyes Wide Shut connections.
Not just Kubrick. Eyes Wide Shut specifically.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And in a movie about, a boy who's very wealthy and his company is taken over and there's this wealthy elite society, that's an interesting connection.
Some just had to bring up.
Okay. I wanted to make a note and see what you guys thought of it. This is a movie filled with father figures. I just kept feeling through the whole movie, I was like, this is awesome, because it's like every older male in this movie is essentially like another version of a father figure to Bruce. It's like Bruce loses his father, and then pretty shortly after that, you have, even Falcone in a weird way, you could see as like this super dark version of a father figure. Gordon, yeah, Gordon, that's an interesting one. Yeah, there is that moment with the kid with Gordon, so that's interesting. Gordon, I feel like, is more of a peer you know, because they kind of team up. You know, he says now we're two, so it's like, okay, you're gonna be my partner almost. So I think maybe not as much, but yes, I think you're right. Even Gordon. I'll throw this out there. I wanted to kind of give my sort of overall general take on the whole movie.
Here it comes.
It plays into the father figure thing because I saw it as like actually what's so cool about the Batman story that I realized is that the death of the parents is really to me just a symbolic death that really represents when all of us have to leave our parents. You know, it happens to Bruce when he's a little kid, but the journey that Bruce goes on is learning how to become a man. You know, how do you go from being a scared boy to a self-assured man? And that's the arc of this film. And so the plot points just to me just kind of actually represent this larger sort of metaphorical story of being separated from your parents, having to go learn your own life philosophies and make your own choices. And as he goes through that journey, he's met by a series of father figures. And it's like, which one are you going to listen to? You know, who's going to shape you on this journey, right? Which direction are you going to go? And one of the first ones that he encounters is, you know, he goes off to China halfway around the world and, you know, he's in this prison camp and who shows up? Ra's al Ghul. Of course, he doesn't know that's who it is yet, but, you know, Liam Neeson shows up and says, I have a way for you, right? You're a lost boy. You're like in Pinocchio. You're a lost boy. You know, you have no direction in your life. So listen to me, right? Let my ideas guide you and become one of my disciples. And he kind of lures him in, you know, entices him in. And Bruce is intrigued and he's like, am I going to listen to this guy? And he starts to listen to him, you know? And then, of course, as he gets to know the philosophy more and more, he gets to the point where he has to, you know, kill supposedly the criminal. We don't know who that guy is. They just tell Bruce, he's a criminal. You got to kill him. We don't know that for sure. But it's like this test. And the way Bruce, quote unquote, passes the test is he chooses not to participate at all. And he finally rejects Ra's al Ghul as a father figure. And he goes off and he starts to become his own man and he makes his own decisions. And he chooses to rebel. And then he goes back to Gotham and he says, I'm going to take what I've learned. You know, a lot of this guy's ideas make sense, but, you know, there's aspects that I don't agree with. And so I'm going to take the parts that I do agree with, and I'm going to disregard the parts that I don't agree with, and I'm going to go back to my home and I'm going to apply it, and I'm going to try to live my own life, and I'm going to try to make my home place better, you know, my home city better. And and so that's what he does. And then when he goes back there, then he's met with a bunch more father figures. There's Mr. Earl, the guy who runs the company. You know, that guy's kind of a surrogate father. And then, of course, there's Morgan Freeman. There's, Lucius Fox. Yeah, Lucius Fox. Yeah, and then, and notice how they have these, like, connections where Fox says, oh, yeah, I know your dad. I helped him build his train. And so it's like, it brings them together. Fox is linked to the father.
Yeah, and I mean, Bruce is an orphan, so they're all surrogate parents to him. All those the people that are, you know, older people that knew his father throughout his life.
Hazel made a joke. She said, when in the scene where Bruce gets poisoned, and then he's brought back to Wayne Manor by Alfred, and then Lucius Fox shows up, and Alfred said, "Oh yeah, I called Lucius." Hazel made a joke. She goes, I'm so glad that Alfred and Lucius can be a happy couple off screen.
Talk about a deleted scene. That would be a great lovemaking scene between the two of them. Candlelight.
But I mentioned it for a specific reason because I thought, you know, that's actually interesting because I do think that Bruce...
Oh boy, here we go. Lucius bringing a bunch of toys into the bedroom. He's like, you know, I've got a lot of stuff here that I brought over tonight.
What Bruce decides to do is he listens to these two father figures the most. It's Lucius Fox and it's Alfred. And those two become the brightest guiding lights for him because they are two men who have a good heart. There's no other agenda. And so I actually ended up thinking of it like they become his surrogate parents, Lucius and Alfred. Lucius is more of the father. He runs the company. He's a little more kind of unemotional. He doesn't want to know. He's like, you know what? Whatever you're doing out there, I don't want to know. Don't tell me, right? Alfred's more worried. He's more like maternal, right? He's worried about him. Master Wayne, I'm concerned about you. I love you. And he's more domestic.
He brings him food.
Right? He's his butler. So I thought that those two really become the surrogate family.
I cannot comment on that.
Smüth is like, can we please change the subject? I don't want to be picturing that forever every time I watch this.
I mean, yeah, Bruce did go to Lucius, right? And he says, hey, I like it. Can I get it in all black? I'm like, hey, come on now. The little innuendos,
Yeah. I try to give you only the takes I think you guys could handle.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, he was
censoring.
just teasing us with that gay take that Alfred and Hazel said.
Well, that was Hazel's take. I mean,
Hazel said.
Yeah, that was Hazel's take.
Yeah.
She loves that. She loves like cute old couples. So I think that's how she sees it.
She wants to pair them up.
Yeah.
What did Thomas Wayne need those prototypes for though? Like the armored suits and everything? Was he trying to fight people himself?
They had said something. There's that line in there saying like, "Oh, the government wasn't going to pay X amount of money for these." So it's like they made something that seemed like it was going to be utilized in the military or whatnot. But then they're like, "Oh, they weren't going to pay X amount of money for these, so we just still got this stuff sitting around."
Yeah, that's one of the conceits you have to kind of go with is like, okay, this company has a bunch of super advanced tech just laying around waiting to be used.
Yeah. Nice.
Makes for very fun toys.
Also Falcone, right? Like they spend so much time in the beginning building up Falcone, and then the second they introduce Scarecrow and they're like, oh, well, you don't want my boss to find out about what you're doing wrong. It like diminished his character to this like small, like, like I think it was such a strong concept of a character. And then they just put him in a hierarchy in like a food pyramid, I think too quick. It would have been cool if it was sort of parallel instead of just stacked. Like now he is under Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, there's something interesting with that. Yeah, yeah, because they do. He just sprays them, and he's gone, and now he's just
Yeah, the way they do that hierarchy, it's an interesting point because they build Falcone up like he's kind of the symbol of the problem in Gotham, right? He's semi-responsible for the parents' death, like not directly, but there's this tangential responsibility that he has, and of course Bruce confronts him. And then Bruce goes off around the world and, learns these ninja skills and he brings it back. And it's like, you're right, Falcone is essentially replaced. The way they use the Scarecrow character is, so he's like working for Ra's al Ghul. He behaves with Falcone as if I have authority over you.
all right.
Like I'm basically your boss. Like
Exactly.
you have to listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the relationship between those two, Falcone's really pushed down. And then he's essentially just sprayed with the gas, and then does he ever come back after that?
Falcone?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
You see him in the room, and he's just tied down, and they're looking through the little window at him, and he's just
Yeah, exactly.
and that's it. He's like the most unthreatening person, just sitting there having a panic attack forever, which is just an awful way to go out,
But I think in a way that kind of works because what Nolan is doing is he is showing you the hierarchy. And I think the hierarchy is actually important because he's showing you like ground level criminals, then, their boss, Falcone, then the crazy psychologist guy who, is more respected in the community. So Falcone, everybody knows he's a crime boss. And so, yes, he's given respect through fear, but he's not an official part of the society. You know, he can't go run for governor or whatever. But you have Dr. Crane, who's, testifying at a court hearing, and, he's actually a respected member of the society. And yet, secretly, he's working for Ra's al Ghul. And then you have Ra's al Ghul, who's his boss, apparently, who's so far above that it's like, that's why they call it the League of Shadows, that he's essentially in the shadows. He's not even visible. He's so high up there, he's not even visible. And he's going to come in at the end and, bring all that weight down on Gotham from using this hierarchical structure. So it is interesting, actually. I think Nolan is kind of like showing that to you. He's kind of breaking it down, showing you the mechanics. Because it's like, I think that's one of the things that's so cool about the movie is the idea of bringing the realism, So it's, if you were Batman and you did have a modern day city that was corrupt, how would you go about solving that?
Kevlar.
It is kind of hierarchical, right? You sort of start from the bottom and you work your way up, essentially. And that's what Batman does in this movie.
Yo, these batarangs he's making by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can't pay someone to make that for you. That's a dead giveaway. That's
Yeah.
that's a lot of time.
Oh, yeah. And he's making different sizes of them, too, because the first one he makes is like pretty big, and then he's got the other like little smaller ones that he's got. Yeah, he's down there all day just grinding away on those.
It's really not worth it. Like, you should just get like kunai or something. It's just literally the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he had his whole ninja training, and at least those, they can hit at any angle when you throw them. These, it's like you have to hit one edge or the other.
Only a couple of points of contact.
Yeah, and what is it? Honestly, like that is a deadly weapon. He's all about like not really wanting to kill. If you throw that into somebody's chest, like it's going through their body and it's going to hit. Is he just going to like hit people in the knee with it?
That's a good point. Could kill somebody. You got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be real careful.
Yeah. I have something else that I could throw out.
Is it about two characters being secretly gay?
You didn't like that take?
No, shoot, go for it. Let's hear it.
And much like Donner's Superman, Nolan knew how to introduce the hero. You build up to it, you let the audience anticipate it, and then you give them the scene that's like, the hero is now here. And, in Superman, he catches the helicopter, and everybody gasps and everybody's in love with Superman. He does something heroic. In this movie, it's like a horror scene, where he takes out these criminals one by one. But you get the scene that the whole movie's been building to at that point, where it's like, okay, now it's Batman. He's going to lurk in the shadows. He's going to take out the criminals. We see it from the criminal's point of view. And it's like this super satisfying, it's the I'm Batman scene. And so Nolan, he knows how to do it. He took the lessons from Richard Donner's Superman and he applied it to Batman in the mid-2000s.
I think I will never say a negative word about Batman Begins. Never one. But the only thing that made me kind of like, oh, that's kind of goofy, is when he takes Falcone and like chains him up on the light to make the bat signal. Because then I was thinking about it and I'm like, dude, that probably took him a solid like 15 minutes. Like this grown ass dude in a cape, like tinkering the clothes, making it look perfect. Just so it cuts out, like checking the sky as a reference, going back,
That's
Yeah,
hysterical. That's the deleted scene of him just like brick perfect trying to get it right.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I can't really remember. I mean, if we're gonna nitpick a little bit, because I'm gonna give this movie a lot of praise because I really had the best viewing I've ever had of it today. But yeah, why did I say that it felt a little bit goofy? Just right off the top of my head, I mean, the moment where, he grabs Falcone out of the car and he's like, I'm Batman. It's like, and Hazel's watching with me. She's like, so he gives himself that name? Like, he calls himself Batman? It's like,
they do have all the
guess.
one-liners in there.
Yeah.
Like, they do have all the movie trope one-liners. That's like, And I was trying to think of that. Like, if you cut them out, you'd kind of be missing them, though, in a weird way. Like, even when Gordon is sitting there, and he almost does the same line of like, where does he get those wonderful toys? You know, of like the original Batman. He's like, oh, I need to get me one of those or whatever. And like, you know, at the end when they're fighting, it still is something. It's grounded, but it's still based on, you know, a comic book. So you need to have some of those one-liners like, you have learned nothing, like, and the little one-liners during fights that get thrown in. I think without them, we might miss it though. Like, you know, there's an aspect to it where it's walking the line where it works.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why it's so good, is because it still really is a movie for kids. You know, there's that one scene where
Andrew, careful, bro. Greg, you have host privileges, right? You can kick him out.
Katie Holmes is getting upset.
There's that one scene where he's on the fire escape, and there's a little boy, and the little boy says, "My friends won't believe me, you know, that I saw you." And Batman tosses him the little, I don't know, piece of equipment, whatever he's got. And I thought, okay, that's the audience for the movie. You know, is that kid. That's why that scene is charming, is because it's like that's the eyes of the audience. So the movie is accessible to children, and yet it just raises the tone just enough to make it just serious enough so that it's something we've never seen before. And yet it still has the fun. You know, it still has the one-liners. It has that kind of dry James Bond-like humor, the kind of comic relief. You know, you said that Bond was influenced by this. I think that's one of the most interesting things about Christopher Nolan and James Bond and Batman all together. The relationship between them all is that they've influenced each other, because James Bond was a huge influence on Christopher Nolan, and he clearly brought that to this movie. And he made Batman more James Bond, you know, and then in turn, they made James Bond more Batman. And so Nolan still brought all of that fun. He still brought the jokes, and there's enough of a light tone. It's like he's riding this line between just serious enough where you believe everything, you can suspend disbelief and you go with it, but he's still giving you a classic Hollywood popcorn movie blockbuster experience. And that's what I was so blown away by watching it this time, is I realized he created a brand new type of movie. He created the Christopher Nolan blockbuster, you know, with this movie. We'd never seen that from him before. He had done smaller indie movies, and he came to this. This was his first big budget movie. And, you know, a lot of times directors will be graduated to a movie like this, and it actually doesn't work as well. And, you know, their sensibility fits smaller movies more. But he's clearly somebody where he has this big vision, and he loves playing on a big canvas. And so this movie was his opportunity, and he created, like, I kept thinking about Spielberg, you know, the whole time. I'm like, this is like the evolution of Steven Spielberg. This is like a new type of a blockbuster where it kind of uses these Spielbergian techniques, but it gives it its own flavor.
Yeah, I really want that material, that memory,
Oh,
memory
the memory
fabric.
fall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing I was going to say, is like how James Bond the movie is. Lucius Fox, he's basically Q, you know, and he's giving Batman all the tech. Yeah.
Interesting. And that's
Yeah.
in any of the comics, do they ever really go into where he gets his tech, or is it more like the, you know, just ambiguous, like you don't really have any idea?
You know, I don't know. I'm not an expert on the comics to that degree, but I do know that I think this movie is credited with a lot of that, where Nolan came in and said, okay, I'm going to give you a little reason behind why this is the way it is. You know, I'm going to take the character, you know, the Batman, he's in the black suit, he's got the ears, he's got the cape, you know, he's got the belt, he's got the car, but it's like, but why? And you know, how did it all come together? There's even a little bit in this movie where he has a little radio receiver in the ear of the bat suit. So it's almost like even that has a purpose of, like, it's a little radio receiver.
Yeah, we didn't mention that because that was a big choice to decide to say, okay, we're going to take the bat suit and change it, you know, and have this be like an industrial military type thing, and then you see him spray painting it, to get it this black varnish, black look to it, and he's branding himself, but it doesn't have the yellow belt with the bat on it and anything like that. It's very much like, okay, we're going in a different way with this. And it was cool seeing, his very first time out, he didn't have the mask yet. So he's just putting on the little, like he's going to rob a convenience store type mask that he has on his head. And that reminded me of, the Spider-Man, first time before he has his outfit and he's running around out there. So you get to see that progression. And that one, when he jumps off the roof and, slams into the fire escape and falls down, it's like he's still becoming what he will be.
Yeah, it's fun to see the evolution.
Yeah,
that's part of the fun. You feel like you're on that journey. You feel like, you see him like power up more and more and more, and it's like he figures it out. That's what Iron Man does too. That's another parallel, is that Iron Man's like he's learning on the job. He's trying to figure out, how does the tech work. And that's exactly what's happening with Batman. He goes out and he jumps off the roof, and then he realizes, okay, I need a cape. I need something where I can glide through the air. Yeah.
Does the kid, I didn't look it up, and this could easily be solved with a quick Google search. That kid is Joffrey in Game of Thrones?
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
He has no role in the movie except just literally as a foil to Batman. Like, here's a kid's perspective.
Or maybe that's Batman. That's Batman being a father at that point.
Oh, to that kid. Yeah.
It's a little fatherly type. Hey, here you go, kid. Here's this little thing. He could have said, my kid friends won't believe me. And he could have said, tough luck, you little shit.
He gave the little boy the grappling gun, right?
No,
yes.
I thought he gave him the thing he was looking through.
Oh, okay, like a binocular.
Oh, the binocular thing?
Okay.
Yeah, because I think
cool.
he folded it and threw it to him, which is like way too high grade for a child. That's insane.
Right. Oh, you also didn't give the kid the charger for that, so like the battery's gonna die after a certain period of time. Like yeah.
And they don't really talk about his voice. Like the Ben Affleck Batman, he uses a voice changer. And that reminds me of who's like the second and the third Spider-Mans, how they start using technology to describe like the webs and everything. It's not just like Toby's coming out of the wrist.
Right.
So like the future Batman movies use technology to describe his voice. He just because when he does it, I think in the original, like when he visits Gordon the first time and he doesn't have all the mask, he's just speaking in his normal tone. And then he just starts getting deep. Then it's like, he just does it and nobody questions it.
That's another really funny deleted scene. If it was him in the bathroom practicing different voices and running them by Alfred, he's like, Alfred, what do you think about? I'm thinking, what if I talk like this? He's like, no, it must be deeper, Mr. Wayne. Must be deeper.
That was one of the elements that I thought was really cool by Bale as a choice, was to create this voice, the Bat voice. And of course, it became like very well known later. I think as the movies went, it kind of evolved and it kind of turned into something else. But I always thought the best version of the voice was this movie.
Really?
Yeah, because it's the most subtle. He turns it into this animalistic thing, but it doesn't go so crazy to become a little bit goofy. I feel like as it goes, it gets a little bit goofier.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of Michael Keaton. He did more of just kind of like a regular whisper, right? He just wouldn't speak very loudly.
His was more of a whisper. Yeah, it was more like, I'm Batman. It was more that. Yeah. You like that? Yeah, Bale
was good. That was a good one.
Bale created this growl.
Right.
Right? It's the animalistic. He's like, I'm transforming into a bat.
Which must have been his choice. Do you think Nolan, the first time he heard it, was like, the fuck is this guy doing?
That's a good question.
He does the first take and he's just like, okay, so that's what you're going to do? We're going with that? Really? Christian, are you sure?
Like there was a Robin Hood, right? Where like he was using an English accent, but it was so bad that halfway through he just switched back to his regular voice.
Oh, you're talking about
Like
Kevin
the 50s
Costner
or something?
I think
I
so.
think he's talking about
that
Kevin
one.
Costner. I think he's saying that Costner did an accent a little bit and then he just dropped it.
Yeah, and they couldn't reshoot it, so they're just
Right.
stuck with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I never really picked up on that. But you're right, the Prince of Thieves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Prince of Thieves, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, with the Bale Batman voice, I feel like again, it's underrated how much Christian Bale I think brings to the character to create Batman. It's a hard character. It's like what do you do as an actor? You know, you're behind a mask. Hazel actually had a funny remark at one point. She goes, "This is really good mouth acting." That's what she said. There was a scene where he was doing like a frown and he was like emoting just through his mouth, and Hazel was like, "Well, yeah, that's because that's all he's being given." So I think it's a tough character to act. And yeah, that's one of the choices is, yeah, what's the voice? Like, what is Batman going to sound like? And so, yeah, there's that shot. One of the best shots, I think. There's so many shots that have like an impact where you feel like this impression of something. I think the way Nolan is able to create these impressions is amazing throughout the whole movie. But one of the shots that stands out to me is when he first saves Katie Holmes, right? She's on the train and she's gonna get jumped by those thugs. And he comes in and he saves her, and she has the funny moment where she's like, "Yeah, you better run." And she doesn't realize that Batman is beating up some guy behind her. And she turns around and it cuts to Batman and she jumps. It's like, ha! And he's just still, like a statue. And his cape is just kind of slowly blowing a little bit in the wind.
And she shoots him.
Yes, and she shoots him with the taser, like out of reaction. And he just is he doesn't even react to it, right? And then you get the voice, and then he says, Falcone sent him to kill you. And it's like you get the whole impact of it for the first time.
Yeah.
I always felt like it really worked. I always felt like what he created there really worked.
It'd be really funny if that little taser is what he gave to the little boy, and the little boy accidentally went inside back to dinner with his parents and just shot them. Just fucking electrocuting them. They'll never believe me. Here's a taser, kid.
The character I didn't love was Leeds, the cop. Gordon's like cop, like the quote unquote dirty cop.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's the fat guy who's eating the tamale or whatever in the rain.
The where are the drugs? That whole shtick. I
Right,
didn't love
right.
that character just because he seemed like so boring.
He seemed like a real comic book character. Like that seems like it's like Batman 1989 comic book character. Fat guy out there walking in the rain, and it's just like it's not as this world.
Right.
It's a little more cartoony.
Right. It's just very like, it's just not exciting,
Yeah, he's the kind of foil of Gordon, He's the opposite of Gordon. Gordon is, the cop that you want to be a cop, the good police officer. And then, yeah, you need that kind of flip side.
I like the second time Batman pulls up on Gordon when he's like taking the trash out. And the second he sees him, he doesn't even freak out anymore. He's just like, and he just closes the door. Like, all right, there's this like grown ass man in a cape, like on my fire escape, like wanting to talk to me in the middle of dinner. Like, let me just close the door. My family doesn't need to see this.
Yeah, that's actually a really funny aspect. Imagine if like this is a nightly thing that every night he's there and he's just like, oh man, will you ever fucking boundaries, dude, boundaries. He wakes up in the middle of the night sleeping with his wife and he's just like up there perched over his bed. Oh, I need to speak.
Yeah.
I love the moment in Batman Begins where he calls all the bats, with the little thing off his shoe. And then he leaps down the stairwell and the camera's like spinning and looking up, and
it's pretty badass.
That's what I mean, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the movie's just so thrilling and satisfying on like such a traditional Hollywood level, but then it also gives you all this other stuff. It's like top-notch filmmaking, world-class actors. I was pretty blown away.
Those are some well-trained bats, dude. To be able to come and they're like choreographed perfectly to make the tunnel around them. Like,
it was cool. I love that. I love the shot where he's just waiting. It's like he's waiting until the exact right moment, and he waits till they're almost there, and then he throws the little device, and then because the device is falling, it's like they all kind of swirl. It's like they're all chasing the device, and they create this perfect tunnel for him to drop down. Pretty cool. can tell I love superhero movies.
Why did he make Gordon carry her down the stairs if he was just going to jump down anyways, surrounded by bats, and then just hit the back alley? Like, it seems like his he didn't have to fight anyone to get out, right? He literally just jumped.
He likes giving Gordon these little tasks, you know? It's like, can I really trust this guy? Is this guy going to come through?
It would have been silly to see him walk down 5 flights of stairs, watching Batman just jog down the stairs. He's got to find a cool way of getting down.
Yeah, so what did they do about the antidote? Because it said it was going to take him 2 to 3 weeks to mass produce. And that whole
Right.
island got hit.
Yeah, and there's another thing in there too that I kind of didn't get to. He obviously left the Batcave and went out there to go do all the things, and then he has to get Katie Holmes, and then he has to like throw her in the car and run over 1,000 cops to be able to get back to her, just to get to his desk where the antidote was. It's like, dude, if you just brought the antidote with you, you knew you were going
Right,
into like the
literally.
depths of hell over here, and you just left it on your desk. It's like, dude, put it on your belt. You've got enough places on your fucking belt.
Literally.
This episode of Light Up the Dark is brought to you by Falcone Falafel. Falcone Falafel makes every wrap with the finest ingredients, always fresh, always delivered on time, sometimes even faster when they fall off a truck. The recipe has been trusted for generations, and every order is made with care. And remember, at Falcone Falafel, they don't just fill your stomach, they guarantee protection. That's right. Order a combo and let's just say nobody's gonna mess with your lunch break ever again. Sign up now for a limited time and use code Andrew and Greg at checkout for a free side of Hush Hush Hummus. Falcone Falafel, they don't just light up the dark, they own it.
For me, though, because of the character's journey, as we got further into the story, I felt like I just got pulled further and further in. I felt like I found that solid ground the more the movie went on. And the flashbacks went away, and it's like you're able to kind of latch on to me more so in the middle of the movie. And by the end, what I loved so much, which of course I knew it was coming, but just, you know, not watching a movie for a long time, you get enough of a fresh experience when Liam Neeson comes back into that movie at the end. You know, and it's like all that energy that you're talking about from the beginning of the movie, that dark father figure, you know, from the beginning, and he comes back again, and it's like that has not been conquered yet. And so to me, it just tied in beautifully. It's like the structure has this beautiful symmetrical structure where that beginning comes back, and even though you're not in those Eastern locations, I feel like, yeah, the Liam Neeson character is so good, and he's so good in the role. And yeah, by the time you get to the end, it's like it all comes together.
There was an interesting visual that I thought of. Just it struck me this time. I'd never remembered seeing it before, but it was with, you know, Batman has the cutout, and you only see his mouth, and he was having that little conversation there with Ra's al Ghul, and Ghul is wearing the piece over his exact mouth. So you're seeing his entire face, but just this little black plastic over his mouth. And it was the intercutting between the two of them. It was their exact opposites of seeing the parts of their face.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really good. Yeah. So they're opposites. They're inverses of each other.
Yeah, the visual of them became exactly that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when I was gonna bring up like I love the Batman, the Robert Pattinson one. Love that one. And that is the first time I was going to say I ever felt like you saw resentment in the relationship between Bruce and Alfred, where it's just genuine like pain. But watching this one, you do see resentment. He doesn't have resentment towards Bruce, but he has resentment towards losing Thomas. And he mentions it multiple times, like he kind of gets on Bruce's case a little bit, and Bruce is like, why do you care? Why do you care? Kind of posturing a little bit. And he's like, because like I owed it to your father. Like your father was trying to do something good, and you're out here just fucking up your family's name. Like, I love that. The fact that he cared about his dad, and he's like, yo, my loyalty's to him. I'm trying to help you because you are his prize. You know,
Yeah.
I love that, love that, love that.
Yeah. Speaking of MVPs of this movie, Michael Caine, best Alfred ever. And I'll tell you, I love Katie Holmes. I thought she brought like this emotional core to the film. But I'll tell you, okay, I'll admit, I teared up when Alfred is with Bruce, on that elevator and they're going toward the final battle. And, Bruce says, "You never gave up on me." And he says, "Never," and I was like, okay, I feel the relationship between these two. Like it is like a father-son relationship. It's like Alfred becomes that father figure. And, he says to Bruce what his father used to say: "Why do we fall? So we can pick ourselves back up." And he knows that the father used to say that to Bruce. And so he decides, I'm going to say that. I'm going to be the father figure in this moment that Bruce needs. And that's why the movie's so good. It's got all the action. It's like it's got the cerebralness. It's got like a lot of ideas, but it actually also has heart. And I think it has real emotion. You really care about these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great movie, dude. Did you guys ever read the comic books of Dark Knight Returns?
No.
Oh, dude.
I read Batman Year One.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, which this movie takes actually quite a bit from. But go ahead.
Yeah. There's like Dark Knight Returns stuff, like when they're riding horses through the city that you see towards the end when they block off that little island, which is so cool. But I don't think you see Bruce on a horse. I think it's just Scarecrow. And also Scarecrow kind of got taken out pretty easy.
Oh
Like
yeah.
just a little.
I remember him being a bigger part in this movie for some reason. I mean, you only see him in the mask like halfway through the film. And
Right.
then those effects also are awesome.
So
whenever
cool.
he's like freaking out, and then specifically when you get to see Batman. For some reason, I remember seeing that in the theater, and I always had this gut reaction. I was like, seeing Batman like that, I'm like, oh, it's kind of silly. And I just had that old gut reaction. But when I watched it now, I was just like, dude, this is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's one of the moments I'm talking about, is that the Scarecrow, they build him up through the whole movie. And how does he get defeated at the end?
Right.
Rachel just shoots him with a little taser and he goes, "Ah!"
Right.
And he rides off. And you're like, what was that? This is in a Christopher Nolan movie. Oscar-winning director Christopher Nolan.
There's like what's his name? He plays the evil guy in Inglourious Bastards. He's also in Django. He's like in everything.
Yeah,
Tarantino.
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, and like the way he gets defeated in Bond.
Oh yeah.
It's just like in 2 seconds. I love when he's at the end when he's like flying overhead of everybody and they're looking up and seeing the red eyes and red mouth, just like shit in bricks. Yeah, that was sick. And also like that kid didn't have the antidote. He was tripping balls the
That's
whole
right.
ending, dude. That must have been terrifying.
Yeah. Gordon is actually the one who's kind of the hero at the end, because he uses the Batmobile and he shoots the train track, and that's the reason that the train can't make its way to the Wayne Tower.
I always remember that scene when I think of the movie, when he like finally hits it. He's like, "Got it," or whatever he says.
Yeah, like, yes.
I always remember that part. Yeah, he's so excited.
Yeah, that's the Star Wars moment. That's like the Death Star.
Yeah,
blowing.
It is.
It is. That's right. And then you get the train crash. Like the train crash sequence is essentially the Death Star blowing up.
Yeah, and I thought there was going to be an explosion there. It's like the train just kind of goes down, and then it's a miniature, and then it looks great, and it just kind of flows through. But there wasn't that moment of like, boom, now it exploded, where then you're like, oh, well, now I know he's dead. Like, I wonder if they were trying to potentially leave it open that he could just have a bunch of broken legs.
Small explosion. There's a small explosion. Yeah, because
Oh.
they cut over to that little vaporizer. After like the train has landed, they cut to the vaporizer and then it explodes.
Yeah, they try to give you enough of an explosion. They don't go too far with it. And I think this is actually what I'm talking about how Nolan created something really unique, because he gives you what you expect. He gives you the big explosion, but it's not like a giant explosion, and the camera's floating over the city and you see this massive ball of flame. It's like, it's a little more
More
subtle. It feels
realistic.
a little more real. Yeah, it's like, here's a few little explosions, but they're underground because it's where the train crashed.
Mm.
I'll throw something out there, since we probably don't have that much time left. So let me try to sneak in everything I wanted to say. Just the ending. I'll tell you, the ending moment. It's small, but it really got me. It was after the whole battle, and of course, there's lots of big sequences that are amazing in the movie. I mean, we didn't specifically talk about the Batmobile car chase, and then of course there is the whole finale action sequence. But after you get through all of that, there's a nice little scene where Bruce has another callback with Mr. Earl, where he says, it's all a bit technical, but our company's future is in good hands. And it turns out he bought all the shares, so he still owns the company, and he's able to push Earl out. And then when Lucius Fox has his line, "Didn't you get the memo?" and Earl gets his comeuppance, there's a hard cut, and it cuts to Bruce boarding up the well that he fell through. And I took it as like, it's not until that moment that pain has been healed, that him boarding up that well, that's a symbol for the inner pain. And it's like, he's navigated this difficult adult world. He's become a man, and he's navigated it in a lot of different ways. He's done it the physical way, where he fights Ra's al Ghul, and he becomes a better warrior, but he also does it with the company, with Mr. Earl. He's also smarter than Earl, so he does it with his brain too.
That's good. And he has the flashback to his father with the stethoscope that he finds, and he's holding the stethoscope to his father's heart, and he's listening to that.
Right.
That comes right after there, too. It goes with the same healing effect of that.
Yeah, the whole movie is like Bruce reconciling the death of mostly his father. I mean, the mother too, of course, but really this movie chooses to focus on the father.
This movie's the father. Yeah, the mother is like barely has any thing. She's just gets shot.
Similar to Star Wars, and I think that Smüth mentioned Star Wars, so I think this has a big connection there in terms of that type of relationship. That it's, I called Ra's al Ghul the Dark Father. I mean, that he is that. He's like the worst version of the father. He's the worst version of what Bruce could grow into. This is, if Bruce goes the wrong direction, if he's not careful, he could turn into Ra's al Ghul. And so Ra's al Ghul is like the Darth Vader of this movie, essentially. And so the positive father figures need to be embraced in the movie. Alfred, Lucius Fox, Gordon, to a certain extent. And then the negative father figures need to be rejected and conquered. And so that's what he does. And so I love that moment, how, he didn't just win a battle, he also outsmarted Mr. Earl, and he got his company back. And it's not until he does all of that then there's like this completion of the circle, and he can board up that well.
That's sick.
And that fear that he experienced, it's like it's in his past now.
That's sick.
It's like the bandages going over the wound. It's like it actually heals.
And Mr. Earl would represent, like, if Wayne Towers is the physical body of Bruce Wayne, like, here is this thing in your body that is leading everything, Mr. Earl, and it's not until he can get that out of his body, until he gets the anger and the guilt out and all of that shame from the past. That's the one holdover from the beginning, that negativity that's staying with him. And then he clears that out. Like, this is my temple. You're not allowed, gets it out, and then he can move forward.
Yeah.
Sick.
And Wayne Manor is at the center of Gotham. When you said Wayne Manor is almost like a representation of himself, or like his father, it's like his family. And Bruce ends up having, this influence over the whole city as Batman, and the tower is central. It's like the tower is this symbol of like Bruce himself. But notice how what's the danger? The train is getting closer to Wayne Tower. right? The train that has the toxin that's going to poison the whole city. So it becomes Bruce's inner struggle on a citywide scale. It's like the tower is his heart, and can the poison infiltrate his heart? It can't get there. He stops it just in time, and he saves himself.
Yeah, I have a question about that ending when you're talking about the train. Ra's al Ghul, and he just closes his eyes and he goes off the edge with the train. He has that little moment that's like an Obi-Wan moment, just like, okay, surrender. I know this is over with, and it's like a little peaceful before his, demise or whatnot. I can't remember the third movie. Ra's al Ghul like comes back, or his idea comes back in the third film or something.
It's his daughter. His daughter.
I gotta watch those again for this,
Yeah.
because now we're going so deep on these. I gotta remember how that shit happens.
Greg, my brother, skip the third one. Save yourself some time. Save yourself some time.
I liked it. I liked Bane. I thought he was good in that. There's some good things in there.
Yeah, with the third one, Nolan, he tries to weave Batman Begins and The Dark Knight together.
Into like the 2008 collapse as well, because he has all of that themes going on during it.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson, when he puts on that mask, his vocal cadence is almost to me like a Bane light. Like it seems like the beginnings of like that exploration, even though those characters would never have any relation. Well, actually they have a lot of relation, but yeah, like when I heard him speak through that, I was like, he doesn't have the Tom Hardy voice, but his cadence was in that same rhythm. Yeah.
That's interesting. It would be extremely painful.
Yeah, and Bane is connected to the League of Shadows, so
That's what it was. That's it. Yes, he had the connection to that. Okay.
yeah.
And is that Bane's same thing? He wanted to have this, because I mean, Ra's al Ghul wanted this cleansing and of Gotham. Like that was his whole thing. Have the smoke come up or whatever the fuck. They all poison and kill each other off, and it's a way of cleansing this. Was that the exact same thing of Bane? Like he's just doing like, oh, we still need to have them all kill each other and cleanse each other, and that was just the way that the League of Shadows does this for thousands of years.
Right. I think it was a bomb, right? It was just a bomb. He was trying to blow up the city because Bruce has to fly it away at the end.
Right. Okay. So his was just kill everybody, no matter how they kill them. It's just like kill them all, and then what? Like, okay, they're all dead.
Well, it is related because, spoiler, Ra's al Ghul's daughter ends up being the mastermind of the third movie, and she's essentially Bane's boss. And so she's the one who has the real plan. So it is an extension of the League of Shadows. So yes, the third movie, they essentially bring it back where the League of Shadows is back again, but because Ra's al Ghul has died, they're back under new leadership. And they're gonna try again.
Their idea is just kill everyone because Gotham is terrible.
Well, yeah, they hold the city for hostage. It's like psychological, they try to create hopelessness and chaos, this kind of thing.
Weird.
They try to kind of undermine the structure of society.
And that's what the League of Shadows has been doing for thousands of years.
Right.
Because
that's what they say.
Yeah, I didn't know if I love that part. Like, oh, we've orchestrated every major collapse in history. I'm like, you could let humans be humans and say we fuck things up, like it didn't need to come from a villain.
Yeah, they could just sit around and wait long enough. We'll kill ourselves one way or another.
I think on the surface, what Nolan is trying to do is he's trying to tie it into the father's death. So it's like Ra's al Ghul is as responsible for the father's death as he could possibly be. And there is this turn where Bruce kind of gives him this steel look of like, wait a minute, you were the one that made Gotham rampant with crime, and you were sort of somewhat responsible for my father's death. So he tries to make it personal as much as possible, right? That's on the surface. But then there's another element of like the Eyes Wide Shut stuff that Greg was mentioning, where it's like, Nolan is kind of referencing like, yeah, there's this shadow, quote unquote, organization that has this influence over the events of planet Earth. similar to James Bond, like with Spectre, Batman is like kind of climbing his way up that ladder through being the hero trying to stop these criminals. He ends up ascending this ladder and he gets to this like final boss who, yes, it turns out he does run this shadow organization that tries to do these large scale events that change the course of history.
And Two Eyes Wide Shut, they've got that iconic piano. And when he goes into the Batcave, they have to hit the piano, which is really a metaphor for Lucius and Alfred having sex.
Now we've gotten to the bottom of it. That's it. That's
Think
it.
about it. Think about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
We got to watch this movie again through those eyes.
I'm going to tell Hazel that her theory was a hit.
Also, since we're, I don't know, since we're guys here, let's just talk about it. Him and Rachel, I'm assuming, do you guys want to say it? I'm assuming that like that was the first time they've gotten physical. And I understand the need to be logical and like, hey, you're not Bruce Wayne anymore. Like, you know, that man is dead. You're really Batman now. We can't be together. But like, they're not going to even go for it once. not
She's
even
like,
one.
hold on. I just realized that you're not only, you know, billionaire Bruce Wayne, but now I've realized that you're Batman. And yeah, no, I'm not gonna fuck you.
Not even one.
He's been doing all those push-ups. I mean, come on.
Do we agree with her logic, by the way, just in general? Like, do we think that romance couldn't have worked out properly?
Oh, it's the idea of Batman having a significant other, being able to be with somebody. In the end, it really doesn't work because you're sitting there, you're gonna like have a night out, you're gonna watch, you know, a movie, have some popcorn, and then the bat signal goes off, and she's like, again with the fucking bat signal. Like, can you just let someone else do this tonight? You know, it's like it's not gonna work. He's always like every night at like 10 o'clock. He's like, okay, honey, you're going to bed. I'm putting on the weird cape and I'm gonna go, you know, save people. She's like, what time are you gonna be back? I'm not gonna be able to sleep. Like, how many bruises are you gonna get in the morning? Like, it doesn't work well because like he's basically married to this city.
Yeah. I thought it was amazing how the movie had this like gothic romance to it. I loved that element of it. It reminded me of Phantom of the Opera, you know, like Bruce and Rachel and like their love story. Their love story is like running through this whole thing. And yeah, it had like, and Smüth, you mentioned the music. And I thought this is for me when that all kind of started tying together at the end, that you have that scene when the Wayne Manor has been burned down. And, you know, yeah, there's this like very melodramatic but tender kind of heartfelt scene. And you have the romantic music going. And, you know, she's talking about this is your mask and it's your, you know, your real face. And she's talking about how there's something that has happened inside of you. I saw it as like, at that point, I saw it as like the transformation has become complete. You know, he's become Batman now. He's not Bruce Wayne anymore. And she can tell that. And so, yeah, I thought that actually had like a real like poetic beauty to it, the way that she was kind of framing it of like, you've essentially transformed like into the monster. You know, you've become the monster so much that the boy that I knew, he doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Which like goes back to Ra's al Ghul saying like when he's training them, like you have to be more than a man, you have to become an idea, talking about fear. And he says like the what makes you go invisible is patience and agility. And like the concept of like I think when he's showing him like the smoke grenades and everything, like he's like it's not just about combat. Like you have to get in their mind to be like this bat, and it worked. He became Batman, you know?
Yeah.
This episode of Light Up the Dark is brought to you by Falcone Falafel. Falcone Falafel makes every wrap with the finest ingredients, always fresh, always delivered on time, sometimes even faster when they fall off a truck. The recipe has been trusted for generations, and every order is made with care. And remember, at Falcone Falafel, they don't just fill your stomach, they guarantee protection. That's right. Order a combo and let's just say nobody's gonna mess with your lunch break ever again. Sign up now for a limited time and use code Andrew and Greg at checkout for a free side of Hush Hush Hummus. Falcone Falafel, they don't just light up the dark, they own it.
Greg, any final shots you thought were like sick?
Oh, I thought that my favorite shot is probably when he's standing on top of the building and it's doing like a drone shot around him, and it does it twice in there, but the first one was just so iconic that you can't really see anything of him. You just see this little outline. He almost looks like he's, besides the cape moving a little bit, he looks like he's like a gargoyle, that's like carved into the building. And that shot is just like so fucking epic. Like most of the other shots in it, it's not like he's doing any amazing one shots or things. It's more just like his quick cutting and pacing keeps going. But like that one there just holds, and you're just like, oh shit, this is fucking. It's just like one of those iconic Batman shots.
Yeah, totally agree. After finishing this movie, I was like, I want to watch Dark Knight now.
Oh yeah. I got in the same mode.
Yeah, because I was like, I feel like I'm taken through the journey of the Bruce Wayne character, and now I want to know, okay, what's the next chapter?
Well, in the theater, the seeing that card at the end, I remember going in 2005, going like, oh shit! I was like, oh shit, this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Brilliant ending. Yeah, just it doesn't feel like it's trying to set up another movie. It feels like it's cohesive within this movie, but it gives you just enough of a tease where you're like, oh, I hope they make another one, and I hope they do Joker, and it's like, it just creates that anticipation.
So I think we all agree it's the best of the trilogy, right? This is what we are.
Okay,
right, so here's my thought on that.
Okay.
All right, get ready. If I had to watch a movie 100 times in a row, I would obviously choose The Dark Knight over Batman Begins. But as a one-shot movie, the best is Batman Begins. And the whole point of the movie is how a man can become more than a man, and he can become an idea. And that movie becomes more than a movie. It becomes an idea. Specifically, Batman Begins is the best of the trilogy in the way that Star Wars A New Hope is the best Star Wars by far. Even though if I had to watch one, I would choose Revenge of the Sith, because that's, to me, like the coolest. I think Dark Knight is cool. But Dark Knight is a action movie. It's a movie of the body that presents superficial philosophy. I think Batman Begins, the actual action is, I don't really care too much for it. I don't care too much for the car chase. I think the fight scenes are I think the ending against Qui-Gon Jinn is pretty I don't even think that's a great choreographed fight. Like the final boss, and they just kind of duke it out on a train really quick and then he pieces out. Like that's not a huge, crazy thing. But it's the fact that it's about that idea of fear. And Star Wars A New Hope talks about the Force. Every other Star Wars movie is a movie about lightsabers. Number 4, A New Hope is a movie, it's a religious Western. And he's trying to teach Luke to use the Force. It's a spirituality movie. Batman Begins isn't about batarangs. It's not about fighting. It's not about the Batmobile. None of that. It's about fear and how he can absorb fear and use that in his life, how he can become an idea. It is truly depth, and it is a movie about spirituality. Maybe you can even argue it's a movie about God. I would say for that reason alone, as a one-off, I have to put it above Dark Knight. If I had to watch 100 times, I would choose Dark Knight. But if I was going to watch a movie 100 times, I would choose Batman vs. Superman.
Wow.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
As Greg would say, and that's the opening to the podcast.
Exactly. Spin that shit.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I love how opinionated you are on there. This is great.
Very strong and unwilling to be moved.
I would argue that The Empire Strikes Back is more about the Force.
We'll see you on that episode then.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, if he started to answer that question, I'm like, here we go. We're just gonna go into Star Wars.
So that's interesting. The difference between like a movie that you would rather watch over and over or just a one-time viewing of
Right.
what is a better single movie experience.
I think Batman Begins is like, because Dark Knight, what are they talking about? It's like, oh, there's people on a boat that want to kill you, but we should kill them. Let's not push the button. It's like this, or like Two-Face, like, oh my God, we need to make this evil person. And I think Dark Knight starts to expose Bruce Wayne's philosophy about not killing. And then it starts to make it realize, like, oh, this is actually maybe not a good philosophy. Like, Batman Begins, we don't get that yet.
Right, yeah. Dark Knight, like you're talking about, you mentioned the action, and like, yeah, Dark Knight has the boats, and there's, of course, there is action, there's great action in there, but just watching this movie, I just felt struck by, it's very much not like Dark Knight. It's its own type of movie. This is more of like a traditional Nolan's trying to do the formula. He's trying to prove himself. He's trying to just make a classic popcorn blockbuster movie. And so there's something that I find incredibly enjoyable about that, because it just takes you on this roller coaster ride, and it's like this straight line where it's like edge of your seat, and it's just so exciting all the way through. Dark Knight, I think, is maybe more cerebral. It has more twists and turns, and I do think it is darker. But this movie's just like so much fun. And it's like it builds and it builds and it gets to that point where, the whole city is like essentially exploding, all the water is exploding. And to me, that's like incredibly exciting. Like I was surprised, Smooth, when you said, oh, like the car chase is like whatever, and like the fight at the end with Qui-Gon Jinn is like whatever. I mean, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but for me watching it this time, I felt like I was so in those scenes. I mean, I think the movie builds up to the ending, and it's like a, roller coaster, just slowly getting higher and higher and higher. And like it builds up to the car chase, and then it gives you this car chase with the Batmobile. And I think that's another thing about this movie that I realize is it has more Batmobile than Dark Knight. Dark Knight, it splits off into the motorcycle. But this movie, this movie, you get like the full car, and the car's got weapons, and it's like it is this tank, and it's indestructible, and he's just rolling over, cop cars.
Yeah, he doesn't really care about accidentally murdering police. I know they
Not
cut
at all.
inside there to see the guys like crunched, and it's like, okay, they're okay, but he's literally just mowing down police cars with no care.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's something really fun about that, and it's more fun than Dark Knight, I would say. So maybe that's why you say you would watch it just as a single experience.
No, I think Dark Knight is more fun.
You think Dark Knight is more fun?
Yeah, dude, like the bank robbery scene is sick.
Oh, it's so good.
Just talking about the motorcycle, like already I had the vision when he's on that street face off with the Joker, and he like hits that hard stop on the motorcycle and they're face
And
to
the
face.
wheels.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, that's sick. That when he has to choose between Harvey and Rachel, that's sick. Dude, there's so many cool parts of that movie. I think that's why I said I would watch that 100 times before Batman Begins. But
And just the Joker's so fucking good in that too.
yeah, he's awesome. It's not his fault the philosophy is weak, but hey, it is what it is.
I've always had a place for this movie over Dark Knight as well, though, I will say, just because I feel like it's more cohesive. Like I said, it has this kind of like single arc. It's like this one's about Batman. I think when you start to get the Joker in there, the Joker is such an electric character. He kind of takes over the movie. And this one really is about Batman. It's about Bruce. It's like Bruce's inner journey. That's what it is. And so it has this cohesive quality. And when you get to the end, you feel like you've had this very rounded, like full experience, Dark Knight also has that Empire Strikes Back quality where it ends kind of on a cliffhanger. You know, it's like, okay, Batman's on the run now. And it's a little bit like, let's start movie 3. Like, I need to see the story keep going. So it doesn't give you the full wrap up necessarily the way this movie does. Again, I'd have to watch Dark Knight again, but you know, I'm trying to remember.
So this is our first guest. This is a really good one. I really like this, actually.
Awesome.
Different perspective, different film that we might not have picked until 2034 or something like that. So we got it bumped up. Got me looking at this in a new way, and I do kind of want to binge watch the other two.
Yeah, I really do. I don't know how soon we should make that happen, but I feel like we need to do the whole trilogy now.
Jeez. I'm telling you, it's that third one, man. I'll join you for part 2. Part 3, I'm like, I got COVID. If I don't got COVID, I'll find someone with COVID. I'll ask them to spit in my mouth.
You really don't like part 3, huh?
It's long, dude. It's long. It's a long movie, dude.
All right.
It's a long movie. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Batman Begins. Yeah.
Big time.
I'm so happy that you picked this one, Smooth, and that we watched it. Like I said, it wouldn't have been one that I would have picked. I mean, I love the movie, but I wouldn't have picked it this soon. We also just did a run of Superman movies, so I was trying to spare Greg some more superheroes.
Fair.
So I was trying to take a little break of superheroes, but then when you said Batman Begins, I'm like, oh, I love Batman Begins, so let's bring it in, and we brought it in this soon. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I just had my best viewing ever of the movie. It's not until I watch a movie for the podcast I feel like that I really know how I feel about it, because I take the viewing very seriously. I sit down, I give it my full attention. I try to think about the meaning of the film, but I also try to really be present as an audience member in terms of where am I emotionally and what journey am I being taken on by the filmmaker. So I try to be hyper aware of all of that stuff. And so I end up coming out at the end of each viewing feeling like, okay, now I really know how I feel about that movie. And for me with this movie, I just ended up feeling like this is one of the best Hollywood blockbuster movies ever made. My appreciation for the movie just skyrocketed. I had it rated 4 stars on Letterboxd. I immediately rated it 5 stars.
Nice.
Like I said at the top, I feel like I was taken on Bruce's journey, and it's a movie where like the inner and the outer just reflect each other so beautifully. And so you're given this huge spectacle, but you're also given the internal journey and growth of the character. And to me, that really surprised me. I didn't realize how much the mechanics of the internal journey were really in there until this viewing. And so yeah, I absolutely love that. So I don't know if it's better than Dark Knight. We got to watch Dark Knight again and find out.
The baby steps, right? Acceptance comes slow. That's what they told me.
Yeah, my final thought on that, I'd have to say, whenever I think of superhero movies, I always think of which one do I like the most. And I always go back to Iron Man. And I always just initially think that it's because it was like the first movie that was kind of, grounded in realism, and making me, picking this on the podcast and re-looking at it made me go, oh, wait, this is 3 years before that. Hold on. There might not have been a green light of Iron Man without this. So I think Nolan really did set the stage for that, in the early 2000s of kicking that aspect off that allowed Iron Man to, know that it had an audience. So that even the visuals of like Iron Man when he's in the cave and he's building and making his, stuff, it's, the little things with him just grinding away, making those little bat things that we talked about. It's just, it's very, very grounded in that type of way. So I did very much appreciate this viewing, looking at it from that perspective of what this kind of set, the stage to be able to do for future films.
Yeah. Huge influence on Iron Man, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, Iron Man is like Marvel's Batman, 2 billionaires who kind of have an awakening. And then you spend that whole middle portion of the film working on the tech,
Yep.
getting your tech right, and then
Jarvis is the butler.
Jarvis, and then Iron Man ends. The last scene is he says, "I'm Iron Man." So it's like he's not really Iron Man until the end of the movie too. Similar.
And there's the whole thing with Iron Man and the father themes throughout that as well. Like,
And the
actually, this is
father.
the
Yeah.
okay. Hold on here. Hold on. Which comic book was written first? Batman, and then Iron Man is an older comic book as well. But what's Batman was first, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So Iron Man's just a ripoff of Batman.
You said it.
Yeah, the movie is unbelievably influential. I mean, it basically set the mold for the next 20 years of Hollywood blockbuster films. Dark Knight took it to another level. That was like the evolution of this. But this gave like the template for like, how do you reboot the character? What's movie 1? Dark Knight movie 2. But what does movie 1 look like? And that's what this is.
Banging it out. Yeah, my final thoughts. Awesome. Probably best Batman movie ever. I love Batman vs Superman. I love the Batman. Yeah, Batman Begins is sick. Again, if I had to watch it 100 times in a row, give me Dark Knight or Batman Superman, because it's more colorful, more fun. And I just want to spend my final thoughts contributing to the future of the podcast, right? Because it's not about the past, it's about the future I'm concerned with. That's what Alfred said. And if I could put some votes in, take them with a grain of salt, definitely get the Matrix on there. Fucking please. Django or Inglourious Bastards, but definitely Django. And Mad Max Fury Road is the most beautiful, most colorful movie I've ever seen in my life. And Sinners was probably the best movie I've ever seen in person. Just what an experience, chills top to bottom. Anything kung fu I will support, even bad kung fu, except comedy kung fu. No Jackie Chan, please. These are my
Wow,
yeah,
shots fired.
Ouch.
dude.
Trouble in the Bronx is a no-go?
No comedy kung fu.
Oh, wow.
No comedy
Wow.
kung fu.
So not even Kung Fu Hustle.
Nope.
That one's out too.
Keep
wow.
Keep it.
Wow.
Okay.
And yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. It was like awesome just to nerd out on
great,
this. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I learned that there's a lot of movies that you actually have a passion for that you might want to talk about.
Nobody will listen to me. I'm talking to walls, dude. I'm talking to weird dudes on the train. I'm talking to anybody I can. This is the first proper outlet I've had,
I'm looking at eyes. I'm looking for love.
That's right. Love's looking at time,
No one will talk to me. Well, thank you so much to Smüth for coming on the episode and sharing your thoughts on Batman Begins. Awesome.
Dude, this is awesome. I'll be back anytime. Man.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We got to finish out the trilogy now.
And I'm a fan. Like I told you, I actively listen to your guys' podcast so much that it makes me watch all these movies, and then I am wasting my time watching this and then watching videos about the movies I just watched, then re-listening to the pod. No, you guys literally kill it. Seriously, it's so fun that I recommend your podcast to friends, not even to hype you up, but just because a friend will say to me "Oh, I just watched the new Superman," and I was like, "Oh, listen to my friends talk about it," and then get their opinion on it. You guys literally know your shit. You guys kill it. Huge fan. And they greenlit a Weapons prequel. What are you gonna do?
We got to go see it.
We love your music too. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have time for a plug.
Hey, this is Smüth. Thank you, Andrew and Greg, for having me on your podcast. Talking about Batman Begins. Best Batman movie of the trilogy. Don't at me. If you did, I wouldn't even respond because I don't use social media, but you could send me an email, business@staysmooth.com. We can talk. If you got beef, we can talk. Listen to my new mixtape. It's called In New York, Our Nature is People. In New York, Our Nature is People. I record train sounds, friends doing interviews. I got Andrew on there doing an interview, MTA announcements,
streets, ciphers, everything, man. It is a scene of New York. It is my gift to New York and my appreciation and my gratitude for this city, man. That's just been so cool and beautiful and a great experience to be in, man. So, yo, thank you guys for having me on the podcast. Again, my name is Smüth. Send me an email, business@staysmooth.com. Or check out that mixtape in New York. Our Nature is People. You might see it on a big screen in 2026. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out. Shout out Batman Begins, best movie of the trilogy, best movie Christopher Nolan ever made. Andrew said it in a text. He can't say it on podcast, but you know how he feels. Greg said it on text. He can't say it on a podcast, but you know how he feels. Yo, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I'm the break in the flicker, the cut in the edit, the blade through the credits, a frame they embedded. Light in the distance, persistence poetic. The dark is a prison, I brighten with aesthetic. No stunt doubles, I tumble through trap fights. The scripts in my soul, I control on my track spikes. Whisper in a reel, I reveal with the black light. The dark is a canvas that I carve with the flashlight. Call it a war cry, a cinematic spark. A puzzle in the shadows, a code of the art. It's Andrew and Greg and the legacy embarks. Our voices ignite and we light up the dark.
And if I remember, I think the first verse was like, they don't chase clout, they just chase the lore. Dig scenes that the mainstream ignore. When the fabled war, the truth gets told by Andrew and George. And then he goes, this guy's name is not George, it's Greg. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, dude. How was I going to reset up? Everything is Orge. And then I was like, oh my God. And I looked at the text and it's like Greg. And I was like, dude, I'm such an idiot.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's what we do here. We light up the dark, you know? Andrew was keeping that under the bed, but yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth behind the version 1 of the theme song. Yeah.
The V1. Oh, do you still have that?
Probably. Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, dude.
I'm sure.
I gotta hear that. We gotta play that one on like April Fools or something. We throw that track in there.
We should cue it right here.
Actually, no, you're right. Let's do this. Is where with the beginning we played the official one.
Yeah,
this should be the one. If you could get that to us, that would be
cool.
Brilliant.
I got you.
Close it out.
Yeah, that's right.
George.
They don't chase clout, they just chase the lore. Dig scenes that the mainstream ignores, where light fights dark in a fabled war. Yeah, the truth gets told by Andrew and George. I'm the break in the flicker, the cut in the edit, the blade through the credits, a frame they embedded. Light in the distance, persistence poetic. The dark is a prison, I brighten with aesthetic. No stunt doubles, I tumble through trap fights. The scripts in my soul, I control on my track spikes. Whisper in a reel, I reveal with the black light. The dark is a canvas that I carve with a flashlight. They don't chase clout, they just chase the lore. Dig scenes that the mainstream ignores, where light fights dark in a fabled war. Yeah, the truth gets told by Andrew and George.
Smüth, do you have an all-time favorite movie?
Oh,
number 1?
I mean, my top 3 literally are in no order. It's got to be Matrix, Django, Fury Road. Have to be my 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
good choices.
Maybe if there's gonna be like 2 more in that conversation, Pulp and Inglourious Bastards, maybe, but definitely The Prestige I gotta put in there.
Oh wow,
That movie's sick. But definitely Django is like color splash. Like I love all the reds. It's just such a sick fucking movie. Django's dope. Tarantino hits me in the way that like Kanye hits me. Like like they touch the same part of my chest. And yeah, even if like there's some shit on the background that's like a little controversial, yeah, they'll always like hold that place.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah, I do think of Tarantino like a hip hop director.
Super.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, he came from like, he loved Kung Fu. He loved like all that, like blaxploitation films and Shaft and all that. So that's all in that same like color, like that's in that same sphere.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
my analogy is like the way he uses other movies is like how musicians sample. You know,
right,
it's like
right, right,
he basically samples and he
right.
remixes. That's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, like Kill Bill is super hip hop.
Right.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah.
Wiggle your big toe. Yo, do we have any kung fu movies coming up?
One of my all-time favorite movies is Enter the Dragon. We could do that one.
Oh, I love that. Bruce. We could definitely do Bruce.
I have binged a lot of kung fu movies, and Enter the Dragon's the one that I'm just holding. I still haven't seen it because
Oh.
I know, because I'm like, dude, I want to see everything around it and then hit it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Fist of Fury is like the greatest theme song maybe of all time. It is sick, dude. I get
Okay.
chills every time that ending comes.
Okay, so you're a kung fu movie fan, so this is why you love the opening of Batman Begins so much.
Yeah.
It's him learning how to be a ninja.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Return of the Dragon, I think, has some of the best fight scenes in it. That one's really good. And then the ending of Game of Death is the only part that's actually worth watching of anything within Game of Death. The pagoda sequence.
Yeah, the part that they actually filmed, right?
The part that Bruce Lee's actually in.
Yeah. Yeah, that one would have been awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, to have the whole movie, yeah.
You know, Andrew, I've tried to bait you a couple times on Batman versus Superman because I know you're a Superman guy, and you've said nothing.
Oh, okay.
You've said nothing.
Oh, I didn't know. I was just
Oh,
I
I've
mean,
been trying to kind of. You've said nothing on it.
I like Batman versus Superman more than Man of Steel, actually.
Yeah, definitely. It's so
Yeah.
cool, and that
Yeah.
is the comic book of Dark Knight Returns. Is Bruce Wayne is like in that time of comics when everything was so happy goody two shoes. They created this dark, edgy 50-year-old Bruce Wayne. They said Bruce Wayne was stuck in his 20s, and they created a character that was in his 50s. And he's like
Right.
trying to fight, and then Superman comes in, and there's this battle between them, and it's man versus God, dude. It's so cool. So cool.
Wow, we're learning Smooth's opinions here.
Who picked my cousin Vinny?
You know what? That was kind of a mutual pick, actually. It was more Greg, but then it turned out to be I had to make it as my official pick.
You had to make it your pick.
Yeah. But that was one that we both actually love.
I got that queued up.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
You like that movie?
I mean, I grew up in an Italian father household, so
Okay.
I don't like grits, but I like that movie.
And you haven't listened to the episode yet, right?
No.
Oh, it's a good one. I have a good take. I have a good take in that one.
Is he secretly gay? Is that it?
Him and the judge, they have a few one-offs together where they do some reach arounds.
It's the judge matched on Tinder with Jerry Callow.
Not Jerry Gallo, Jerry Callow, exactly. Callo.
Yeah, I just remember my dad always saying, like, that's the hottest woman in the world. Like, any woman that can talk about cars, that's the hottest woman in the world. The 19, what was it, 67, 64 Buick Skylark?
Right.
1964 Buick Skylark convertible.
Yeah.
Pause attraction.
Pause attraction. It's a limited slip differential that applies power both equally to the right and left tire.
I'm sorry, we're not even talking about Batman anymore.
Yeah, we just went right off into Mona Lisa Vito.